Film.
Film.
This is the new tradition. I shout film over and over and over again, and then I surprise you with the ringtone.
New tradition.
Ready? Film.
Yep.
Film. Sorry.
Film. It's just been a while since we managed to get a meeting together, hasn't it? And Fernando, thank you for picking Macario.
Oh no, I'm sorry that I did. I'm sorry that I did.
You're
People
sorry
spoke
that
so
you
highly
did?
of this film. Well, yes. I mean, what was this film about? What was this film about?
What wasn't it
Fernando,
about?
what wasn't? I concur with Laura.
And Claire.
This film, all of you. Well, it was about life and death, and it was about Mexico. What was it about?
Ponchos. Turkeys.
All the important themes.
El Diablo.
Ghosts.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned El Diablo, because I did think that the first character that Macario encounters, as in, it isn't stated that the other one is God and the other one is death, but well, I mean, we do get a sense that the third one was death, but the first one was a little bit confused. Was the first one Lucifer? Was the first one the devil?
I think it's got to be, yeah.
Wow. I was going to ask, is there like some weird subset of Mexican culture that's like death, God, and just a bandit? So is that part of the Holy Trinity?
Just
is
a
it the
bandit?
sun?
Yes. Yeah, that's mentioned in the Bible.
That's the
called
sun.
Catholicism.
The sun?
Yeah, and death was actually the Holy Ghost. So that was Jesus at the beginning, wanting to sell his buttons.
I think you've got this very mixed up. And I think you need to go back to Sunday school.
Pretty sure Jesus wore spurs.
On his sandals.
Yeah.
Why not? Well, so we're going to talk about how Macario is Jesus, but should we zoom out for a second? So this was. Could you summarise the film for us, Laura? What happened?
Well, there's this guy, right? And he lives in the wood. No, he lives out of the woods, but he goes into the woods a lot. And his only dream in life, he announces to his 6 kids and his wife, is to eat a whole turkey by himself.
Yeah.
Because they're on the edge of starvation and poverty for the entire. I'm not doing a very good job here. Why do you always ask me to summarise?
No, you got this perfect.
Okay. Anyway, great. His dream is to eat a whole turkey by himself, and he says he's not going to eat until he does it. So his worried wife steals the turkey for him, gives it to him, and is like, "You go enjoy your whole turkey."
Yeah.
Off he goes into the woods. He's confronted by Jesus, God, death, possibly just the devil and a bandit and not Jesus. I don't know. 3 guys approach him, and he decides to share it with Death, who gives him some water that will cure any illness, and says, "Use it wisely, Macario." And then obviously Macario just uses it on everyone who asks because he's a good person. Where do we go from there? That's kind of the premise, I would assume.
That's the main point. Did anything important get missed there, Fernando?
No, I think that's that narration was even better than the film itself.
I think so too. I think
let's do the whip round. What do we haven't done the whip round.
Oh yeah. Can I just also say that?
Oh, yeah.
Just to add to the plot summary, that none of it actually happened, because at the end
what was that about?
Just been a weird,
oh yes, was it all a dream? Was it just like life? Life is a dream.
Well, I think he was just really full of turkey. You know, that way you just feel really groggy, and you have like on Christmas Day, you have a really feverish nap after dinner.
But he'd eaten so much he died.
Yeah.
Was Macario secretly plugged into the Matrix?
Yes. Yes. Sorry, but yes, Laura, I liked the film to do the whip round.
Yep.
Great. How much?
I also liked it. I thought it was... Yeah, how much, Claire?
Like 1:05.
5
past 1.
That's
pretty good.
Pretty good. It's not noon, but you know.
No. No, but very little's known. It's a cool hand look. That's about it, really.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty
Michael?
clear. Excellent film. Really liked it. Yeah. Very engaging, very touching at times, and surprising.
Yeah.
Laura?
That's how I felt. Thought it was great.
Excellent.
And I was against it. I was against it in the beginning. I thought, this is boring. Black and white. Old
another
Mexican
fucking
film.
black and
Another
white.
fucking black and white one, eh? With
What a
subtitles.
stupid subtitle film that they want me to watch, so I can't watch
Class
Treasure
after class of
Planet
ugly children.
I hate when you have to read a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I wanted to read, I'd have got a book.
At the moment he announced that he just wanted a giant turkey all to himself and not to share any with his wife and kids, I was hooked. I was on board with him. I thought this is great.
I was there.
And it just got better from there, and I thought it was a great film.
So then, Fernando, you disagree. You thought it was a bad film.
Well, I'm not sure if I thought it was a bad film. I was just disappointed. I guess I was expecting something more like either The Dark Knight or Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it wasn't. So I would rank it 250 milliliters of water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty clear again, yeah. How does that figure onto the tomato meter?
I think that's a thumbs down.
Wow, 100% of people like this film on Rotten Tomatoes. And I guess we're going to have to lower it to 99.999 %.
Yeah. Well, there we are.
Yeah.
Some would argue that 99.99999 to infinity is actually 100.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
In fact, I'd go so far as to say I don't care what people argue, it's true.
100% of people say that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is this like a big deal in Mexico? Is this a film everyone goes on about?
Well, it is certainly a film that I hadn't heard about until very recently, when the main character Macario, who is played by Ignacio Lopez Tarso, died this year, and my mother was like, "Oh, yeah, Ignacio Lopez Tarso died," and I was like, "Who is that person?" And she just couldn't believe that I didn't know him. So I Googled him, and apparently he was a famous person in the past who made Macario, and so I was like, well, maybe I should watch this film. And
I did. Did he die eating a turkey?
He must have died eating a turkey. Yes, that seems only fitting, given his cinematic trajectory. So I would be disappointed once again if he did not die eating a turkey.
I would too.
So maybe he was. I mean, maybe he's still famous. I don't know. It's a person that I did not know who he was, but maybe people from the past knew him better.
Yeah.
Sounds like your mum knew him very well and expected him to be well-known.
Maybe. Well, but my mother is really old. She must be around 200 years old. So then maybe that's why.
Yeah, so maybe he was really famous in like 1850 or something.
Yes.
When he made his first films.
Indeed, yes. That's the only explanation.
Excellent.
Yeah. Cool.
But why did you like it? Why did you like why did you like the film?
It was just really good. It was the story of this guy who was just a bit of an anti-hero in a lot of ways. But he was tempted by the devil, and but then used his powers for good once he was magic, and it was just, I just liked it. That's not a very useful discussion, is it?
He used his powers for good.
We've been doing this for so many years.
Use his power to gain money, and to be wealthy.
Yeah.
He uses it to lift his family out of poverty, but he doesn't just treat the rich, he treats everyone, and they pay him what they can.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
The old women in the village said that, didn't they? We saw him being tempted, though, didn't we? He asked the rich guy for 10 times what he expected to pay, and he was going to, but then he relented and he said, "You know what? That's too greedy. Just give me what we originally said." And
I think that's a sign of real integrity, though, isn't it? To be tempted and then brought back.
Yeah, in the same way he was tempted by the devil.
Yeah. But he overrode that temptation.
Yeah.
That's a strong
I'm not
character.
sure he was that tempted by the devil. If we take the bandit guy as the devil.
Yeah.
Bit of a pessimist, really. I thought he was being offered all this nice stuff, and he was like, "What would I do with spurs? What would I do with all your buttons? I don't want this forest, I just have to cut it down. Well, what do you want, Macario?"
He just wants his turkey.
Yeah, he made it very clear what he wants.
Fucking turkey.
He wants to eat an entire turkey and not share it with everyone. And someone's trying to give him silver spurs, trying to give him a forest, which he was quite right in. But yeah, I think there's something in that, though, right? That's the kind of biblical aspect of it. This idea that the devil offers us things that we want and that are attractive, like shiny silver things that we know are valuable, or to become a wealthy landowner. But we know really that that it's an illusion, and that it won't really give us what we want. And he's stuck with his simple pleasure as a result. I thought that was a good touch.
Ill-gotten pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still not on board with stealing a turkey.
Yeah.
It was an odd one. Do you know, it reminded me of Nosotros los Pobres, We the Poor.
Is that just because it was Mexican, Michael?
It's not just because it was an old, boring Mexican film with subtitles. It is because it was brilliant, and it is because it had a lot to say about the plight of the common man. He wasn't especially good. He was basically a good bloke, but he lived in poverty and he really felt it. And seeing him be so greedy with the turkey and not want to share it even with his family, you could kind of see it. You kind of felt like anyone would want something like that, and maybe he should be allowed that one little sin. Because he's had a hard life and he doesn't have anything for himself. And this picture of him at the end of his tether, refusing to eat, basically, knowing that he was going to die if he didn't eat, just refusing to eat, basically saying, this life that we're living isn't worth me living. I'd rather die if I can't eat properly, if I can't have a life that's decent, then I'd rather not live at all. And that's what his wife saved him from.
But he's also responsible for all of those children.
I was going to say that, yes. There's something called family planning, yes.
I see. He's Catholic, though, right?
Yeah.
In the olden days.
If you get lucky, one of them falls down a well and you don't have to look after it anymore.
Yeah, but then death gives you this thing that stops them from dying. Doesn't give you any food. Nah, he made good in the end, though. So I was reminded, by the way, Laura, do you remember many years ago when we would we'd hang out with people in the Waypat and we used to play a game called Reacher Settler?
Oh, yeah. Oh, how horrible.
You'd find a couple either walking nearby or a couple and you can usually identify which one of them's reaching and which one's settling. Let's have a little game of Reacher Settler. Macario and Macario's wife.
Do you know, I found Macario attractive in some light.
That's very kind of you.
He had a nice long face. If you like that sort of thing. I tell you, I'm excited for the next couple, though. The rich guy.
Oh, Don Ramiro. He wasn't a looker, was he?
No, and his wife was the most beautiful young woman.
Yeah, his wife must have been like half his age.
Yeah, I thought that was his child. She looked about 12.
Yeah, was that saying about something about what happens when you're rich?
Yes, I assume so. But classic Reacher Settler sort of.
Yeah. Excellent stuff.
Although, who's the Reacher and who's the Settler in a game of wealth?
Oh, well, there we are. Anyway, that concludes the game of Reacher Settler.
The other classic pub game is, what is it, Shag, Marry, Avoid or something like that?
Shag, Marry, Kill was what we used to play, if I remember.
So the devil, God, and death.
Oh dear.
I know who the devil is.
Blasphemy to answer, wouldn't it?
I reckon I'd shag God.
I mean, the devil was a good-looking man.
He was a good-looking man.
That mustache.
Those mustaches, yeah.
And he owned a forest. He had all those shiny buttons.
Yeah. You've been seduced by false promises, Laura. Yeah, I think you shag the devil, you marry death, and you kill God, right? That's the only answer.
No, I like Laura's answer better. Then you have sex with God because it would be heavenly. You kill death because
life
that way you would be immortal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you marry the devil because of the good life.
Yep.
Yeah, you get the forest and the buttons. You get half the buttons.
Yep.
Excellent games. Can we all make a agreement now that we don't play that every film now on?
I think it has to be a new tradition.
This could end the film club. It was very fun that time, though.
Shag, Marry, Kill, Bly, Christian
Fletcher.
Christian Fletcher. Those are only really two.
King Heaty.
King Heaty.
In which version?
Oh!
Very different answers. Oh, wonderful.
Dear, oh dear. I feel like I had lots of questions about Mexican culture as I was watching the film, which is our token Mexican, Fernando. I was banking on you to answer, but I didn't write them down.
I have questions about Mexican culture.
Great. Fantastic.
If anyone can help me out.
I'll try and answer them.
Yeah.
We'll all try.
How big a deal is the Day of the Dead thing? Is this really something everyone's doing every year?
Yeah, unfortunately it is. I wish I could say that it isn't, but it is.
Yeah. So like your family would have the offering?
Yeah, so what people would do is go to the graveyard and then clean the grave and then decorate them with flowers and candles, and they would basically spend the night at the cemetery.
Wow.
Having meals, as in they would have their dinner there, and they would maybe sing, and spend the night there.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. Have you done that?
Well, the fact that I haven't done that. Yeah, that is true. Yes. The answer is yes, I've done that. I did that when I was a child, and I was unfortunately forced to do that. So yes, I have done that, but it's been more than 20 years, I think, since I last did it. And increasingly, I think as I guess as the city runs out of space, it is less about going to the graveyard. Well, I guess if you still live in a small town, then I guess people still do that very frequently, but it's more about just, I guess, decorating a table or somewhere in your house, and putting an offering and maybe some food to offer to the, I guess, your dead relatives, and maybe remember them.
Yeah. So it sounds like a very nice way to sort of remember people who've passed on, but you think it's a bit dumb, or?
Well, I think it is superstitious, and I'm against superstition.
Oh,
something in that. Yes, in the sense that it's a load of total rubbish and they're not still alive and like listening to everything you say.
Haven't you seen Coco?
Yeah. So one thing that I think, what do you do with the food when it doesn't disappear? Because they don't eat the food, do they?
I don't know. I would like to believe that they do not eat the food, so maybe it just goes to waste, which would be even worse. And you just waste food.
Waste food. I mean, and we saw that like she was putting some food aside, like they didn't have enough to feed the whole family, and Macario's wife was still putting some on a little shelf for no one.
What happens to the mince pie you leave for Santa, Michael?
Well, Santa comes and eats it, obviously. And it's very clear that Santa's eaten it because there's a few crumbs left on the plate when you go down in the morning and there's a tiny little bit of sherry in the glass. So that's the answer to that one. Yeah, I guess the difference here is that like grown-ups believe this. I guess they must have some mental gymnastics they do where like the spiritual part of the food is gone.
Yeah, that sounds plausible.
Yeah. Or is it just like Santa and just the parents eat it after the kids have gone to bed?
What I was told when I was a child is that if I were to eat the food that was left for the dead, it would be, as in, you wouldn't be able to taste anything because as in, the taste would have been taken away from the food because obviously the dead ate the food, so it tastes of nothing afterwards.
That's an excellent one. Okay. Yeah, so they've taken something invisible and unverifiable out of it. Yeah, okay. Oh, well. I guess what it comes down to, it seems to me like a sort of a harmless superstition. Like it's maybe a nice way for people to console themselves.
Is superstition harmless?
Well, it can... no, because clearly it causes people to like train themselves to ignore reality and evidence.
I disagree.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's no one reality anyway, so...
You see, it makes people say stuff like that and ignore what's obviously right in front of them.
Many natures, many interpretations.
Yeah, okay. Maybe the ghosts do eat the food.
Hey, who are you? You know what? That sounds awfully Western. Once again, here we are, the white European being like, no, that's a load of rubbish and hocus pocus.
That didn't take you long, did it?
Mexican, and I did say that it was unfortunate that Mexicans believed it.
Yes, you're allowed to say that. Thank you for your indigenous perspective.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the white Europeans are completely innocent. They do believe that wine literally is the blood of Christ.
That's true, actually. We did violently impose Catholicism on much of South America. So, not that I'm saying that that's the root of
transubstantiation.
Yeah.
So there are stupid people everywhere. You see, Laura?
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, I guess.
And also there are plenty of people that would argue that there are multiple realities and insisting that what we observe is absolute is misguided.
Yeah, I think it's making up something that's plainly not true and like verifiably not true.
How do you know it's verifiably not true? Have you conducted did you go and take the temperature around the graves, Michael?
I haven't taken the temperature around the graves, but I guarantee that it will be colder than everywhere else. Outrageous.
I empathise with Macario. You just want to take your one giant bit of turkey and not be pestered by a load of ghosts trying to muscle in on your meal.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'm with him on that. So, so coming back to Macario and his giant turkey he wants. This one rang particularly true for me because of something my mum told me about a story when she was a child, which that they weren't like particularly poor or badly off or anything, but one year for Christmas, she was asked what she wanted, and her answer was, "I want a big bag of crisps all to myself that my brother can't have any of." And she got it, and she ate her big bag of crisps all to herself, because normally she'd always have to share it with Roy. And that just stuck with me. Just, you know what? Just now and then, you just need something that's just yours, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's good to share.
Every now and then we all need to have our own fish and chips, and a whole fish and chips all for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You see, that would be the British version of this. With mushy peas and everything.
Tartar sauce and ketchup.
Yeah. And then the devil is a seagull that's eyeing him up. Yeah.
He doesn't offer you anything in return. He just dive bombs your meal and tries to take it from you.
Oh dear. Yeah. So I identified with Macario. Just that one pleasure I felt he was somehow entitled to, and I was glad he got it, but I am glad he died. Would it be skipping over things to try and address what happened there? How did he die?
Yeah, I was a bit confused. I guess it was all a dream, huh?
Yeah.
And death just took him immediately.
Yep.
Is that what happened? Did death really come, or did he just like choke to death on a bone or something, and had a crazy fever dream while he was
choke to
dying?
death on a bone would do it. Or is there something, because he'd been starving himself, he hadn't eaten for days, and he was in a really bad way. Does something happen if you overeat? Your body can't handle it or something?
Yes, I think that was water. Yeah, I think that's what happened with. Well, I mean, this I only know because I've been recently talking about World War II with a historian friend of mine. So apparently, when people were released from the concentration camps and they were fed, they realized that you couldn't just give that much food to people who had been starving, because otherwise their body reacts very poorly and they die.
Oh
my God. So I've sort of heard this, that people who haven't eaten, they can't go straight to solids. They have to have just drink little bits of glucose for a while, and eventually they can build up to small meals. But I thought it was just that they'd be sick or that they couldn't chew it or something. You're saying they'd die?
Well, I mean, again, this is something that my friend who is currently doing his PhD in history at St. Andrews told me, and he was like, we were discussing World War II because we were reading a book on World War II, and he said, yeah, this is some of the experiments that they were, well, as in not an experiment, something that they discovered once the war ended.
Yeah. Wow, that's terrible. So I guess that is what happened to Macario.
Except he wasn't. I mean, he only stopped eating for 2 days, right?
I'm not sure how long it was supposed to be.
It was less than 5 minutes of time. Yeah.
It could have been longer, I guess, but it seemed like it was pretty short. But then he did say he was on the edge of starving.
Yeah,
they were at the edge of starving the entire time and only eating very small. So I suppose if he decided to just suddenly eat a giant amount of meat, and I'm guessing he didn't get much meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be something in that.
Maybe it was
Maybe that was a statement. Pro-veganism statement.
Yeah. There we are.
Yeah, this film was actually sponsored by the Vegan Society.
Yes.
So, Fernando, you were telling us recently that many people in Mexico don't eat meat, right?
So I think I would describe, I guess, the life that Macario was living as quasi-vegetarian, because I think that's what would happen, as in they would basically eat just vegetables unless they get the rare opportunity of eating some animal.
Yeah. Yes, I found that interesting as just a culture of, we don't really worry about meat too much.
Is that not because they can't have meat?
That's what happens when you do worry about meat. You die.
Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so watching my new favourite YouTube channel, Pasta Grannies, it's exactly what you think.
I think this might be sexist, but I think you've had too much paternity leave.
Yeah, in the olden days there, they didn't eat a lot of meat because they didn't have any to eat. I think a lot of the time, vegetarianism and veganism sort of forced onto people by poverty.
Mm.
And it
looks like Britain's heading that way again, so that's nice.
Yeah.
There's one upside to being driven further and further into poverty by our government.
Yeah.
That being said, they've driven up the price of vegetables, so...
Yeah, meat's too cheap.
Wrong things that are coming down and are staying low in price.
Anything else about the film?
Yeah, so if... the way I see it, there's two interpretations of what happened. One is he was like delirious with joy and hunger as he was walking through the forest, kind of had this kind of waking dream, started eating the turkey thinking he was talking to death, and just died from what we've said, either the sort of the shock of sudden amounts of food or choking on a bone or something. Or he really did meet all those people and he ate the half the turkey, but he shared it with death, and he really did live through all of that life for, what do we think that was? Weeks, months?
Yeah.
And only at the end, because of his confrontation with death and this destruction of the flame, that sort of basically caused him to be put back in time by death to resolve, him being killed. And that it was sort of all undone, but it had really happened. Those were the two ways I saw that this could have been interpreted. I think it could have been either, right?
Does death have that power?
It seemed like it, like death has sort of or maybe moves through time in a different way.
Interesting.
I think it's the second one. Actually, that did sort of occur to me at the end, that something like that had happened, rather than it was all a dream, which seemed like a weird cop-out, sort of, why are we even watching this? But
yeah,
even though I think the second one might be a bit of a leap. Either that, or it's like an Alice in Wonderland type deal, where it was a dream, but where there's ambiguity that it might have really happened, just the resolution is that she just wakes up and everything that had happened sort of happened inside her own head.
Yeah, like it happened, but was sort of undone, or didn't happen after all, or something. Yeah, something in that. Now, if it really was all just in his head, then this immediately prompts the question of like what it all meant, because it's kind of only satisfying if we think about why was he thinking about the devil? Was this his temptation, like his temptation to steal and to cheat and to hide away from his children? Was God, this feeling that he ought to do what was right, and then this discussion with death, this whole dream, could this all have been a sort of dying dream where he wanted to look after his children but he somehow couldn't?
I'm just going to say one bit of evidence for the dream thing is that he was obsessed with the idea of eating a whole turkey and clearly had immense guilt about not giving it to his family, so he immediately dreamed that he'd gotten them all a turkey each, even though there's no way that they could have cooked those turkeys.
Is there no way?
Well, I suppose there is. If she managed to cook one, then she could cook 6, but surely that would take days.
Yeah.
With no oven.
Yeah.
Could he have brought them from Don Ramiro's house?
Maybe he did. Maybe she didn't cook them. That's a good point.
Or could he have got them Deliverooed to their house?
Maybe. I don't think he would use Deliveroo, though. I don't think he'd agree with their employee management practices.
No, that'd be a bit El Diablo.
I feel like there is a lot to talk. You mentioned he was Jesus at one point. We should come back to that. I'll put a pin in that.
Any central male character to a film who dies is Jesus. I basically thought of that because I thought of Jesus tempted by the devil in the desert. That I think it was playing on that idea of being out in the wilderness and tempted by the devil. That's there was something in his biblical thing.
His trial as well. Like all he was doing was curing the sick, and he was accused of being like a witch.
I forgot about the trial. Yeah, he was definitely Jesus. Yeah, they were the Pharisees, weren't they?
Yeah.
And the Romans, and they were threatened by what he was doing, and they were too small-minded to see that he was a good man. Yeah, healing the sick. Yeah.
Wait, but wasn't Jesus Jesus?
That was God.
But Jesus is God.
Jesus.
That's true.
Yeah, he was meant to remind us of Jesus, wasn't he? Macario was.
This comes up in Greek mythology as well. That someone is given a vial of ichor of the blood of one of the gods or something like that. And that has the power to save anyone. And someone gets really upset about it. Presumably like
Hera.
No, I think it's more like Thanatos or Hades or someone gets upset about it. I can't remember the details. Maybe it's Asclepius.
That's a good name.
Yeah, it's good. He used, like the stick, the medical staff. That was Asclepius' staff.
Oh, with the snakes round it?
Yeah.
Ah.
He was like the first medic, first physician.
Oh. I always thought it was weird. You see the stick with snakes round it near medical stuff. I never really knew what that was there for.
Yeah, it's something to do with Asclepius.
Yeah.
Don't remember. How about, so he doesn't get the magic water to save everyone's life, but his death changes the course of events. So, like, his little boy isn't playing by the well the next day because he's so sad that his dad's dead and doesn't die. And other things don't happen as a result of his death. And so, in that way, he's saved lives.
Oh, I like it.
That's quite good. Yeah, to be fair, remember at the end when they're testing him, he doesn't give anyone water, but Death's like, oh yeah, they're going to live anyway, even though they're really sick. So maybe he didn't do anything. He was just giving them actual water, and they were never going to die in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that was just it was just a test to see if he would try to save the unworthy or something.
Yeah.
Bit of a coincidence, though.
What's that?
That everyone would just get better as soon as he did give them the water.
Oh, yeah.
Leading to fame and renown as a healer.
Maybe they were just thirsty.
Yeah, maybe they were all just dehydrated because everyone thought they were going to die.
Yeah.
I think we've cracked it.
Do we want to know what Google has to say about it? Because I have just Googled it and okay.
Go on, then.
Well, so the movie is based on a book by a German author called Bruno Traven. And yes, even though the film is ambiguous, apparently in the book, Macario trying to save the Viceroy's son happens when he is already an old man, and Death, instead of letting him die, I guess, at the hands of the Viceroy, he decides to use his special watch. Well, here it says that it's an English watch, to go back in time and let Macario die when he shared his turkey, instead of burnt by the Inquisition.
So he did go back in time.
You were right.
Well done.
Well, I said there were two options, didn't I?
That's basically on the right thing.
Yeah, but was it? So that they didn't have the Death pull out his watch and say, time to be going back now, and twisting the thing round. It feels like the filmmakers decided to make it more ambiguous and decided to give us more of a thread of maybe this really happened in the real world. Right?
Yes.
But that's really interesting to know that. Yeah, so my second interpretation was the classical one,
the canon,
the Newtonian one. But the quantum one is that maybe he dreamt the whole thing.
He was alive and dead.
It made us think about dreams, didn't it? How good was the spooky skeleton puppet dream sequence?
Yeah, that was good.
I thought that was amazing. Just so striking visually. Oh, it didn't remind me of Fiddler, but yeah, good.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
I mean, I have nothing to elaborate on there.
Yeah, it was wicked. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
And it just, all things like that just seem to conspire to make this feel like a special film, like an important film. Just and the way that, like, it was quite poor film quality and stuff. It's a bit degraded and not the best sound and stuff like that. They didn't have the best. It obviously wasn't the highest budget or whatever, but they were doing something really special with it, and that was great.
It felt like a fable.
Yeah,
yes,
I was thinking about we've got we've got this book we've been reading. Well, I say reading to Heather; she doesn't know what you're saying, but we've got the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales, and it so sounded like one of those. It's this sort of fascinating story of what's going on here, what's happening next, and all these different little things to do with religion and with morality and right and wrong, and
he's been visited by 3 ghosts.
Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah, and then tested and given heaps great renown upon him, but it's poisoned chalice. Great stuff. I thought if they'd made it today, they would have done, because I thought it wasn't a very good character study. Like, we never really get to know Macario, apart from he's hungry and sick of his life, and then he just becomes this amazing healer, and I don't know what his perspective on what he's doing is, really. But I don't need it, because it's a clear, simple fable. We're just going to follow his trajectory.
Yep.
Whereas I feel like if they'd made it today, they would have had a lot more introspection.
Yeah.
We don't know if Macario would have voted Labour, Conservative, or SNP.
He's definitely a Lib Dem.
Farmers are traditionally Tories, aren't they?
That's true.
Oh, he was a woodsman, though, not a farmer. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what woodsmen are.
Foresters.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he was classic Lib Dem, wasn't he? Just sort of a bit disengaged from everything. Just kind of not actually trying to be actively harmful, but
not interested in the social plight of people. Yeah.
Yeah. They just want to get our votes and then triple tuition fees and just absolutely go to town on a turkey. And then they die and no one ever votes for them again, and they fade into irrelevance.
Oh, is the story of Jesus actually the story of the Lib Dems?
Yes, Nick Clegg is Jesus. Died for David Cameron's sins.
Good.
So I want to go to bed in about 10 minutes. So shall we do some games?
Great. Yeah. Oh, I've got 2 more comments.
Oh, please.
Actually, maybe just one more, but I thought I'd hedge my bets in case another one came to me. This scene where they were... So he did a good job, I think, of hiding his water bottles when they still lived out in the sticks. You know, he had that hollow tree trunk that he covered them up. And then when he gets his big fancy house, he moves all his bottles into a trunk by themselves, places a giant rock on top of the trunk as if to say, don't go in here. So I'm keeping something hidden in here. And then it's the only door that he locks in the house. Like, oh, I wonder where you're keeping your magic potion. Is it behind the locked door and under a trunk with a massive rock in it?
Well, there's a rock on it. No one will think to look in that.
I just couldn't believe how stupid the rock was.
Yeah, like why?
Would you think no one's as strong as you or something? Yeah. Just like, there's no way anyone will be able to lift this rock. Yeah. Like, come on, mate.
So was it just to keep the children out? and it didn't even occur to him that someone might break in and try and steal it.
Maybe they were doing a rock rolling boulder thing.
Is it the rock that got rolled away when Jesus was reborn? And from Jesus' tomb?
That'll do.
I mean,
why
they
not?
Mucked up that symbolism if they were trying to go for that. The
Yeah,
Romans
doesn't
came
really
in and
work, does it?
smashed everything, and the rock was... It doesn't make any sense.
Nah, you're probably right.
Oh, well.
That was a good try.
Yeah. So games?
Yes.
Well, in fact, the last thing I wanted to say was that Macario and his wife both seriously need to discipline their children. They just weren't even making an attempt. They were terribly behaved children.
Yeah. That's why I empathise so much with him when he wanted the whole turkey to himself. And I was like, yeah, I'd want away from those kids too. Always trying to steal my food.
Yeah.
Running around, make a load of noise. Never get any peace. I'm hungry. Just want to go to the woods and by myself.
The misbehaving kids is pretty much his fault, though, isn't it? That's
Absolutely.
not the children's fault.
I guess once you've got like 8, it's too late to do anything about it.
They're raising each other by that point.
Yeah, they're hopelessly outnumbered and can't give them all a stern talking to. Maybe you can, I don't know.
Also, his wife, when he was like, he has a right to express an unrealistic, weird dream. She should probably feed her starving children before she gives her husband a giant turkey to himself. But maybe I'm being too judgmental.
If she hadn't given him the turkey, he was going to die within a couple of days.
I mean, I thought he'd only been doing it for a couple of days, so I would have been like, let's wait it out for a bit and see how serious he is.
I guess he'd have been unable to work pretty soon, wouldn't he?
I've
And
let it
that's
get
the
to
only
that
reason
point.
they've got any food at all.
Suppose.
Yeah. What's the rule of threes? They say you can survive 3 hours without shelter and 3 days without water and 3 weeks without food.
No, 3 weeks. Wait.
3 hours
yeah.
without shelter? That can't be right.
Yeah, I've been outside for longer than 3 hours.
If it's like a blizzard or something. Or if you're in the sea. What was it? That's just a rule of thumb anyway. But the idea is like if you're stranded somewhere, you do shelter first and then you start thinking about water. And only
Surely
once you've got
water
water, then
first.
you start thinking about food.
What if you build your shelter and there's no water around?
Yeah.
Well, then you don't die overnight.
But if you look for water, then you could sleep by the water. Until you've got enough energy to...
Only if you spend 2.5 hours looking for it, though. You need to leave half an hour to build the shelter.
Wait, what about chips? How many days without chips can you go?
I once went without chips for more than 2 weeks.
No.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow, I had chips today.
Oh, I wish I
haven't
had chips today.
When did I last have chips?
I had chips yesterday as well.
Oh my god,
So I
you
had
turned
chips
into a
every
chip.
day.
Yeah. Gotta get you 5 a day, Laura. I had crisps today. Some people call those chips.
Yeah, that's like the...
Fools call those chips.
Sorry, so I really shouldn't have interrupted the games for this.
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes.
This rubbish. So, how was this film the same as the Untouchables?
It was a masterpiece.
They're very different films, aren't
Tricky
they?
one. This is a tricky one.
In India, they call the poorest people the untouchables.
Got it.
Such a stretch.
That's one of our worst ever. Moral ambiguity over prohibitionist.
Yeah, even the good guy had flaws.
Flawed hero, that's another.
Flawed hero.
Oh, magic liquid that causes controversy.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
The fucking establishment getting down on him for his
Magic
pretty harmless liquid.
Yeah.
When he was just trying to do good with it, just like
Al
Al Capone was just trying to do good and give the people the booze that they wanted.
Which is also a form of healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then the fucking man was like, "Oh, you're not allowed to kill children, blow up pubs. You have to pay your taxes."
Classic Viceroy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking cops, man. Okay, so we've done that one.
Yeah.
Always trying to harsh your talk, aren't they?
Yeah. Tried to make me go to rehab. I said no.
Yeah.
If I die before I wake, at least in heaven I can skate.
That was the tagline to this film.
Oh, I need a tagline.
At least Macario can skate.
This summer, Macario.
Never stop fighting till the fighting's done.
That's it. What?
What?
You ain't nothing but a bag of remember.
I say you ain't nothing but a bag of
Oh, God. Okay, great. So, what other ones do we play?
Who do we cast ourselves as?
Slim pickings here.
Bugsy being the turkey.
You're Macario's beautiful wife.
Great.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Who actually gets things done and is responsible.
Steals a turkey.
Yeah.
Makes the tough decisions to, steal the turkey when a turkey needs stolen.
Over her husband's dead body, she says, "You were like a child, and I loved that for you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone could say something that nice to me after I die of eating a turkey, I'd have lived a good life. Fernando is the devil.
Stylish.
I was going to say that was the executioner who dies.
The one who's just died of fear.
Okay, I like it.
I'll be the carpenter who's disgruntled that all of his coffin business is going under because some guy's saving everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Nice.
And I'll be Macario, basically this film's Winnie the Pooh. just
wants
fancies a little smackerel of something. This film about one man who was feeling a little bit 11 o'clock-ish.
This summer, Macario is feeling a little bit 11 o'clock-ish.
Oh, he lives in the wood. Yeah, it's all there.
That's nice. Death was basically Christopher Robin.
Yeah, why not? Oh, beautiful.
Just a figment of Pooh's imagination.
Yeah. I think we might have got something mixed up somewhere.
No, I'm pretty sure that's it. The narrator told me. Lovely stuff. Shall I play the music now?
Yep, I'm all done.
I'm done as well.
Thank you, Fernando, for suffering through a film you hated. Because I genuinely thought this was a really great film.
Me too.
I really appreciated it.
I really liked it.
Thanks for picking it.
Well, again, I did not think that it was like really, really bad. I was just disappointed. I thought it was going to be better.
Mm.
Okay. I thought it was good.
Fair enough. Film.
3, 2, 1.
Paper.
3,
Interesting.
2, 1.
Paper.
Scissors.
Hell's
Gotcha.
Well, do you have a film?
I do have a film. And the film is In the Wake of the Bounty.
Yay!
Which we knew we'd get there eventually.
You hadn't picked that. That's what I was going to pick.
Yes, I wasn't sure whether I could rely on you.
Are you joking? I've been talking about In the Wake of the Bounty since we watched the second Bounty film.
That's good. Well, there we are. It's an hour and 6 minutes long. It's from 1933. It's In the Wake of the Bounty.
Fantastic.
Oh, good.
Rule Britannia, Britannia rule the way.
Mr. Frank, over! Attend your back of my man!
You ain't nothing but a badge and a badge.